And
I thought I was just that compelling to you. You were sucked in.
so sucked in. And while the Constitution gives state legislatures the power to choose electors, every state legislature has delegated the power to choose the president to the voters. Remember, when you're voting in a presidential election, you're not casting your vote directly for who you want to be the president. You're voting for whichever slate of electors you want to cast the vote for president on your behalf. Yeah, it's honestly kind of weird. We do talk about that in our episode on the Electoral College. We've talked about this stuff a lot, you guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like we have
a
a
lot.
pretty comprehensive body of work around
We
specifically elections at this point.
just like 115-ish episodes, 110 episodes. So theoretically, a state legislature could take this power away from voters prior to election day. They could do it. It would create massive political backlash, though. And I'm fairly certain that it would lead to riots in the streets. Of course, I have no faith that that would stop the people who would try to do this,
No.
but they wouldn't be able to do it without massive repercussions. Massive.
Additionally, once electors are chosen on election day, under the U.S. Constitution and relevant federal law that supports it, remember substantive and procedural, state legislatures have no authority to replace the choice for electors made by the voters with electors chosen by the state legislatures. Mostly. Except for one teensy little loophole contained in the 19th century Electoral Count Act. And by teensy, we mean big enough that it could completely undermine the democratic process, and so it needs to be fixed ASAP.
Yeah. Sinkhole
Real
size.
small. Just real small sinkhole that could swallow entire countries.
Entire countries.
This loophole is actually pretty simple as far as these things go. If voters have failed to make a choice on election day, that is, if there's no clear winner or no outcome, something, whatever that means, the state legislature can name its own electors after election day. And, well, it's kind of up to the state legislature to decide whether or not the people have failed to make a decision. So, not great.
Mm-mm.
And yes, this also came up when former President Trump and current individual whose eponymous organization was found guilty of tax fraud and his team tried to overturn the 2020 election.
Yeah. Congress is working to close that loophole, however, via the Electoral Count Reform Act, the ECRA. It would close the failed electors loophole and has very strong bipartisan support, including 15 Republican sponsors as of November 4, 2022. That's more than enough to overcome the 60 vote threshold to avoid a filibuster. So this is one of the bills that the lame duck Senate is projected to vote on before the end of the year. It's like this is important or something.
Crazy.
Crazy. Should the ECRA pass and the loophole close, then state legislatures would then have no authority to override the people's choice for president. Federal law, not state legislatures, would continue to take precedence regardless of the standing of the independent state legislature theory. Because federal law would require electors to be chosen only on election day if the ECRA passes, state legislatures would have no power to choose different electors after election day, even if they don't like the choice that the voters made on election day. Again, this is, of course, only a partial solution and would still leave serious questions about congressional elections, but it would at least resolve issues around presidential elections, which seem to be, what causes insurrections in this country.
Crazy. You know what doesn't cause insurrections in this country? The wealth of information found at firesidebreakdowns.com.
It's wealth.
It's just a true treasure trove of information. Seriously, if you like what we do here, go check out our website. It's pretty cool. You can listen to podcasts. You can see our show notes, which are really what we call the literal scripts that we write for these shows. Yeah. We do divert from these scripts from time to time pretty significantly, but all of the information that we bring to you, it's written down.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you know people that are not podcast people, send them links to
Yeah.
our show notes so they can still get the same information, because it's all there.
Yes.
It's cited. You can go, you can check out the links, the resources that we use. We do try to sample a broad swath of information and sources
Mm-hmm.
whenever we write these things. We
Yes.
do,
And if we refer to a previous episode, we do try to link it. We don't always get it, but we do try to link it in the
yeah,
show notes so that you don't have to go hunting for it.
yeah. I think there are 3 links in this episode alone to previous episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check it out. Click all of those links. It looks so good. It looks so good when we pitch this to investors, when we have like dozens of clicks a month. So
Yes.
good. We have no
Just give us
investors.
all of the investor monies,
Yeah, all of it.
please.
That's not true. We have investors,
We do.
and you can be one of those people by following the link found at firesidebreakdowns.com to our Patreon.
Yes.
Yes, patrons get special treatment. Honestly, we treat them better than you normal people. That's all
It's
there is
true.
to it.
Bonus content.
They cut the line. They get episodes whenever we can actually record them ahead of time. They get the episodes ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a whole
Mm-hmm.
week in advance. Yeah,
Yes.
whole extra 15 minutes or so of content a week. Actually, sometimes it's 15 seconds. Really depends on what we have time for and
Mm-hmm.
what ends
This
up on
week
the
it'll
cutting
be
room floor.
like, it'll be probably closer to the 15 minutes than
That's right.
15 seconds.
Yeah. It's never critical for understanding the episode, just by the way. So if you don't have the
Yep.
money, that's fine. You're going to get all the good stuff here. But sometimes it's just a little extra. Just a little,
Yeah.
little salt salt on that.
Yeah.
Throwing it back.
A little bit.
So we're done being awkward. That's our shameless plug.
We're,
Oh, wait,
we're
hold
done.
on. On our website, you can also find links to our social media presence.
Oh, yes.
As long as social media survives, we'll be on it. We might not be great at it, but we'll be on it.
We are going to talk about that a little bit actually in the bonus content. So
Oh,
if you want to know why we think that social media might not survive, you should just maybe hop in. Even $1 a month gets you access to the bonus content.
everything. So,
Everything.
yeah,
Exactly.
check it out.
You know what you don't have to pay for around here though?
What's that?
Good news.
Heck yeah. Good news.
Heck yeah.
Bring me that good news. Tell me what's
That
good this
good
week.
news.
There's a lot of good news.
There's a variety of good news that we could choose from this week.
Mhm.
From the protection for a variety of kinds of marriages that passed in the Senate to Brittany Griner coming home. There were a lot of things that we could have chosen, but because we do try to stay on theme each week, today we are celebrating Raphael Warnock's win over Herschel Walker in Georgia's Senate runoff election. Huzzah!
Huzzah.
It was a little close for comfort, but he did win. And that adds a little bit of margin to the progressive majority in the Senate, despite Kirsten Sinema and her decision to swap to independent, which good
Changes
riddance.
nothing. It changes nothing.
It literally changes nothing. This does mean Raphael Warnock's win does mean that Vice President Harris is less likely to be called on to break a tie in the Senate. And it means that Joe Manchin is a little less able to hamstring the vote with his one-man veto power.
It also means we only need 9 Republicans to break a filibuster, assuming
Right.
Kirsten Sinema continues to vote primarily with the Democratic side of things.
Yes.
So yeah,
Super
that's
helpful.
pretty dope. It's pretty
Yeah.
dope.
It also means an end to the power sharing agreement that Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell set up that basically split Senate committees equally along party lines and forced tie votes back to the Senate floor in order to move ahead on like nominees and bills that they wanted to put through. So Democrats will instead have that extra seat on each committee, and that should clear the path for those bills and nominees that have to undergo the committee process to move forward.
Like judges, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh,
I
crazy.
think that we might see just a real quick blitz on as many judges as we possibly can get through by 2024.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yes, that's exactly what Trump and the Republicans did while he was in power. They shoved through as
Yeah.
many justices as they could. Yeah, I mean, for all of their talk about court packing,
Right.
and projection, they were not exactly, changing the composition of the Supreme Court by adding a seat to it, but they were packing it by being hypocrites, crazy,
Right.
and, you know, failing or refusing to confirm Merrick Garland and putting their own man in when they had the chance, and then turning around under the same circumstances with Amy Coney Barrett and putting her in. Oh, and Kavanaugh and putting her in. Anyway, sorry. Excuse me.
You just called Kavanaugh her. I'm not even
Oops.
mad about it. I'm not even mad.
I'm sorry I misgendered you, Justice Kavanaugh. That is a microaggression to women everywhere. Anyway, until we meet again, thank you so much for listening to us for a wild and crazy ride. I hope that everybody's going into the holiday season with a little bit of hope, a little bit of joy, a little bit of warmth in their heart. I hope you have time to spend it with your loved ones, to work on maybe some connections that have been languishing, or, you know, focus on the important things in life. This is my favorite time of year for a lot of reasons. This is not part of the show or anything, but I really love the Christmas season, not necessarily because of Christmas, but because of the overall attitude of people in this time of year and how much more patience we all seem to have with each other. So hold on to that for as long as you can. If we don't get another episode cranked out before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas, potentially a Happy New Year. We're doing the best we can still. Until we talk to you again, take care of each other.